Hi, it's Therese and I'm here for Altenew, and today I'm going to be doing some stamp layering using this beautiful Hope stamp set and coordinating dies from Altenew. I decided to mix it up a little bit and change my colour combo just to have a bit of fun with the crisp ink colours. They are really pretty colours, and I particularly like this pink pearl, which I've used for my base layer. So these flower petals in this set, there's actually 4 layers to them, and I decided not to stamp out the very base layer. So that's going to mean that I have some white areas showing within my flower. Now you'll see what I mean as I continue stamping. And you really notice it actually once it's all die cut out at the end. So I'm doing 2 flowers at the same time, so that just means that if I use the same piece of cardstock in my MISTI tool, I can just flip it round and stamp in exactly the same spot. It just makes it really easy for multiple stamping. But you could easily do this just with some blocks. It's a really easy stamp set to line up. So what I did, if you can see what I'm doing here, is I've actually come in with the citrus burst on my next layer. And I am stamping this a couple of times just to add a little bit of depth. And I find as the colours dry, the way that they sort of sit on each other is really unique and fun. So my final layer, I do the same thing again, but I'm using the maple yellow. And with the MISTI, I just line up my stamps over top of my stamped image, and then pick the stamp up with the lid of the MISTI. It's just one of the easiest ways. And it doesn't look like much now, but when I bring it all together, I think it turned out really pretty. And I did do a couple of layers of the maple yellow as well, just to really add some depth with this colour. Could have even used a darker colour there. The centre of my flower, I used the silver stone, and the pure graphite was the very final layer. And I just think having that dark centre really made these flowers pop. Now, it wasn't difficult to line up my dies. I just sort of looked at the edges of the flower, even though I didn't stamp the base layer, and that worked out beautifully too. And I have only stamped two layers of the leaf image as well. I didn't actually stamp out the base layer. And the 2 colours I used here were the Forest Glades and the Evergreen. So it's a nice dark leaf image, but it still has the white highlights within it. So you can look at all of your Altenew layering stamps, and there are so many of them, and there are just so many options available. And I particularly like the ones too that have an outline of the flower, because that also gives you like a colouring option. So Altenew stamps are awesome, and especially their floral stamps. I'm addicted, but you probably already knew that. So this leaf image also has a coordinating die, and I just ran that through my die cutting machine 4 times, and much easier than fussy cutting. The sentiment today is from a stamp set called Thinking of You. It has some really great thinking of you sentiments and with caring thoughts. It's one of my favourite sets, and I just stamped that with some black ink directly onto one of the flowers. I've got a pale grey card panel. I've cut just slightly smaller than my top fold card. I've added some score tape, and to make sure that I get this centered perfectly on my card, I'm just peeling back the opposite corners of the score tape and exposing some tape on the 2 corners, and then I can use my fingers to maneuver the cardstock around until it's perfect. And when it's in the right spot, I press down on the adhesive corners and remove the rest of the tape. The leaves I just adhered mostly with some glue dots, and then I did actually pop up some of the flower images. I used some foam dots, and on one of the flowers I did actually pop it up with a couple of layers. So it is a fairly flat card, this one, and hopefully will post well because it's going to a very good friend of mine. So a very clean and simple card today. Hopefully will give you some inspiration to try some of your layering colours in a different way. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll list everything in the blog post and the link will be in the description below. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.